Welcome to Women Entrepreneurs Radio. I'm your host, Deborah Bailey. And when I started this show in 2008, I was on a mission to promote women-owned businesses and help women succeed by providing resources and valuable tips from other women and men, small business owners. In each interview, my guests speak openly about their triumphs, the scary times, and tough decisions they had to make along the way. Women Entrepreneurs Radio is about showing women how to harness their natural strengths to achieve success on their own terms. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Women Entrepreneurs Radio with your host, Deborah Bailey. And I'm really glad to have you joining us today. And if you're listening to this show on Podomatic, then you can also check out the different platforms it's on. You can go to womenentrepreneursecrets.com and you go to the podcast in the menu bar, and you will see a list of different platforms you can find this on, including iTunes and Spotify and iHeartRadio. So there's different places you like to listen, and you could certainly have your pick to do that. And also, if you're listening this on Apple Podcasts, it'd be great if you could take a moment and share your feedback, share a review. 5 stars is always wonderful, because that will always help the show be found by more listeners. So that's really appreciated that you do that. And you can also share your feedback on womenentrepreneursecrets.com. There's a place there for you to send your information, or if you are also interested in being a guest. And you can check out more about me on dbaileycoach.com. You can see more about my books and services and things that I'm doing. And brightstreetbooks.com is where you can find out more about my fiction that I write as well. So that's another place you can find out more. So I hope that you will do that. And now we're going to get started today with my guest. Theresa Siaw is a social entrepreneur and founder of the OMNI Medical Student Training Program, which helps students who have trained at foreign medical schools to prepare for their first job in the United States. It is her passion to improve not just the physical health, but also the whole life of the community. Recently, she also took on the role of president of Bootstrap Village, an organization that works to create and sustain longer-term transitional housing solutions for the unhoused, combined with career and financial education. So welcome to the show, Theresa. It's great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Well, this really sounds like you are a very busy person. You have a lot of wonderful things going on. But, before we get more into the things that you're doing, if you could share, how did you get started in your work?
I got started by my son's father. He was a physician for many years in the Humboldt Park community, and he had a very big practice, and a lot of people loved him in the community. And the reason why a lot of people loved him in the community, because he was always doing the unthinkable of actually helping other people. He always put people before him, and that's what he always taught to his medical students as well. Mm-hmm. So he was a foreign medical doctor from Syria, and he came here to the U.S., and I remember him telling me the story that he delivered pizzas for Domino while he was still in residency program. Back then, residency programs did not pay that much money. And so you had to probably get another job, or if you could get another job, you're probably pretty much working way more than 40 hours in 1 week. Mm-hmm. So he had a good work ethic, and he started a medical student training program to help other foreign doctors come into the U.S. to live their dreams. And that's what I continued after his passing in 2014. It was an unexpected passing. He drowned in Lake Michigan, and he was unable to be saved. So I want to make sure that his legacy lives on. And then hopefully my son one day becomes a physician and keeps this tradition going as well.
Well, very sorry to hear that.
No, thank you.
He was just a really good person who wanted to do something for others. Yeah. That's the kind of legacy that's so important to continue, as obviously you know, because it does make such a difference in the world. And I think that's definitely more of what is needed for people to do. So, I can definitely understand why you would see that, decide to take this terrific work on. Could you share a bit more about this particular training program? Because, people don't always think about what happens now when these students are now coming to the United States, and now they have to try to, what is the process? Let me not even guess at it. What is the process when they come back?
So we have contracts with foreign medical schools, such as UMHS, which is University of Medicine and Health Sciences. So a lot of U.S. citizens and a lot of doctors take this route because they're probably changing a career path of their life, that they are unable to go to take the MCAT or go to medical school here because they probably have to take their the general prerequisite requirements over again. So they will, instead of wasting another year or two, because we all know medical school is not, it's like a 7-year process after graduating from college.
Oh, wow.
And then you'll probably make something.
Wow.
So they will take the route of going to a foreign medical school. So either the Caribbean, or they could go to Poland, the UK, other places. But a lot of people do choose to go to the Caribbean, and they're on a beautiful island for 2 years. And after 2 years, they are sent back to the U.S. to do their clinical rotations. And that's the part that I do. I schedule their clinical rotations at U.S. teaching hospitals that I have contracts with. And I give the students probably one of the best quality educations that you can have, because I want to make sure that we are creating doctors that want to be doctors. Mm-hmm. So I look at like some of our physicians, they are meant to be physicians. Mm-hmm. They love doing it. They're not doing it for the money. And some people do, unfortunately, you have people that are doing it for the money, but you can't do it for the money because you have somebody's life in your hand. And so I want to make sure that I have our requirements are very strict. It's almost like going to an Ivy League school because you have to pass a test at a certain score. And I want to make sure that our students get the best education, but also they're not going to complain as well, because you're going to probably get that 3 o'clock in the morning call where you're probably with your family and you have to go and do probably a surgery. And I want my students to say, like, I have to leave my family and I have to go do the surgery because this is what I dedicated my life to do. Mm-hmm. And I want to make sure that when they are in our program, they're being faced with those challenges on a daily basis by doctors that will sacrifice, their loved one, their life mm-hmm. for their job because they wanted to save other people's lives.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So it sounds like when they come back, they really have to, I guess, get into the, the groove of now I have to apply this that I've learned and I have to integrate into the system.
Yes.
Here.
It's not a walk. Yeah, it's not a walk in the park. A lot of people, some students do things like, the U.S. students only have 3 hours of study, a day, and they only go to clinic for 3 hours, and then they get to do other things. I'm like, nope, you guys are looked differently. And at the end of the day, some hospitals might treat them almost as inferior, but people don't know that the statistics is that, it's not because they couldn't get into a U.S. medical school over here. Mm-hmm. It's because a lot of things have to change in their life. What if somebody's had a passing in their family? Mm-hmm. And, what if you're a certain age? And I'm not going to do another 2 years. I'm maybe 40 plus years old. That's another 2 years. And by the time I leave, I'll be almost 50. Mm-hmm. I'm just starting my practice. And how many more years do you have left to go? Mm-hmm. It's people that are pursuing that passion and sometimes that second job, second career change that they're going to these schools. And I always tell our students, you might be looked at a different way, but you guys are one of the best students that you're probably going to be in your residency when you make it to residency. And a lot of our students have gone to University of Michigan, Dartmouth, Yale, Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic. Those are probably one of the top residency programs in the entire nation. And I said, if you guys could go over there, then you're probably one of the top. You're going to be probably one of the top physicians in the entire nation. Mm-hmm. And a lot of us, we do have nurses as well, because the nurses they thought, that they wanted to do medicine, but they probably didn't think that they were smart enough to become a doctor, mm-hmm. or they probably needed the money at that time and they couldn't afford to become a doctor. So they're able to, so they did a career change when they're able to pay for their tuition. So you never know what has happened with somebody's life, I always say. And having these students has made a difference in my life. It made a difference in even the hospital that we're at right now with the doctors and the CEO, and how much impact they have had on the hospital.
And that's a great point that you make, because I think for most part, I can also speak for myself, unless you know someone who's in medicine, you have no idea.
Correct.
What people go through, or what they have to go through, or how much of a huge commitment this is of your life. We don't know. So what you're saying about if someone wants to pursue this, and now this is such a big life change, and the years and all that investment, that's something that I think the average person wouldn't even realize is of such a major.
Correct. And, a lot of people forget that, it's a career change. Like, I never even probably dreamt of becoming a doctor. And you're like, man, I really wanted to be a doctor when I was in high school. And for many years, you wanted to be a doctor. And you're like, you know what? I'm just going to give it a chance. Mm-hmm. And if something motivated you, and you got that confidence to actually become a doctor. So sometimes it's not for everybody. Some people wanted to be a doctor, and it was not their time, or it was not for them, because a lot of people forget that it's a lot of studying that's involved. Mm-hmm. You have to apply whatever you learned from the school to a real life situation, and it's hard. And don't forget, we still have those same tests that they have to pass in order for them to apply for residency. And sometimes some students fail. Even the U.S. schools, some of them fail. Mm-hmm. But one thing I wanted to say is a lot of people sometimes think negatively of foreign doctors. But right now, primary care has moved that majority of the primary care doctors, like internal medicine, family physicians, are all going to be foreign doctors. And we're seeing that is being moved to nurse practitioners. So you can see that there's a lack of primary care physicians, because if you do go to a U.S. medical school, your loans are so high. Mm-hmm. Most of them are going to be like an orthopedic surgeon, mm-hmm. or a plastic surgeon or general surgeon, where they're making almost $700-something thousand a year, versus internal medicine, where they're making maybe starting $120,000, $130,000. Mm-hmm. So there's a big difference in pay. So if I'm having almost $1 million student loan, I'd rather become a radiologist.
Yeah.
I should be behind my computer.
Right. Right. That's a good point.
Yes. And people forget that. And they're like, well, there's not that many, not that many primary care doctors. I'm like, yeah, and you could see in rural areas. If you go to rural areas right now, there's not that many primary care doctors. They're giving, I have a friend that graduated from one of the schools that we have a contract with. He finished residency at West Suburban Hospital. I said, come to Chicago and become a doctor over here. He's like, no, why would I? I could work over here in St. Louis for $400,000, work 7 days a week, 7 days on and 7 days off, and I only have to come to the hospital for 3 hours.
Wow.
I'm like, well. I'm like, well, you won't do that in Chicago, because your pay is not even close to that.
Wow, that's a totally different experience, huh?
Yes. And they're like, they're like, why would I work hard? So that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So a lot of our students are finding jobs in those type of locations. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, but you won't have the city life that you have in Chicago.
Right. Well, yeah. Yes. Wide open spaces or whatever. Yes. But then there's a need there that I guess they're going to pay for.
Yes, and it's a high need. Yeah. It's a high need. For instance, like psychiatrists is a highly demand, and the doctors have a saying, the internal medicine doctors have a saying, they're pedigree doctors. They came from Northwestern University. They went to Northwestern for residency. So they're extremely bright, and they're like, if I knew what was going to happen today, I would have been a psychiatrist, because that was the worst residency to get into, because if that's like the low of the low, like, because you couldn't get into residency, so you pick psychiatry.
Really?
Psychiatrists, yes. So the hospital tried to hire psychiatrists, and they said that in order for them to work, they have to, the minimum is $400,000 coming right out of residency. Mm-hmm. So a lot of our students chose to do psychiatry. Mm-hmm. And I asked them, like, They're like, this is the best thing. I only see 15 patients, and that's it. I don't even have to go to the hospital.
That's a totally different experience. Wow.
Versus, yeah. I'm like, well, that was a good choice that you picked.
But that's kind of wild that people would think that was like the lowest thing.
Yes.
And
now the internal medicine doctors are like, what the heck? You can't even get for our patients in our office. You can't even get you refer to a psychiatrist because their wait list is 7 months.
Wow.
So you can see how medicine has changed and is messed up because there's not enough psychiatrists around. So there is a demand, like there's a huge demand for nursing. There's a huge demand for primary care doctors. So there is a demand there. And I feel like sometimes in the U.S., people are more going to technology and they're forgetting about healthcare. Mm-hmm. And, but healthcare and technology needs to one day combine because it's really the slowest process in the world.
Yeah,
I think getting to EMR.
yeah, I think that's true, and that's something that I guess some people are looking at it, but I guess it's hard to change a lot of these things that have been in place for so long and get them caught up with all these things.
It's insane because we're just getting to EMR, but if you go to a hospital in Chicago and you go to a hospital maybe in St. Petersburg, Florida, they don't know what happened to you in Chicago. And it's kind of sad because we're in the computer, like I could find anything on somebody in Google.
Right. So why
they don't communicate?
Right. Why aren't they connected? You're right.
Correct. Yeah. And I'm like, that should be universal all over the place because somebody should be able to connect and get into my records to know what I'm allergic to. Because what if I get in a car accident, I'm unconscious, and nobody in that car knows anything about me? Mm-hmm. And if they had a simple system, and that's why I tell the students, I could blab all day about healthcare.
But it's true, though. More people really understood everything that goes into it, and really what it takes for the people to go through the training in the schools and the system. It really helped people to know that, to have more knowledge of it. Maybe they'd be able to make different decisions or just have a better understanding.
Correct. And some people didn't know too much about what in high school, when I went to high school, they didn't tell you what you could be. Mm-hmm. They just said, my parents were like, either you're a doctor, a lawyer, and do computers. That's it. Mm-hmm. Those are 3 choices. Yeah. And I didn't pick any of them, obviously. but I wish, I wanted to be a doctor at one point in my life. Maybe it was preparing me. But I wanted to be a doctor at one point in my life, but I did not know that until my son's father, I was working for his clinics. Mm-hmm. That there was physician assistants, and this was in 2009, 2010. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what's a physician assistant? And not many people knew. And one day I was like, I met somebody and they're a physician assistant. I'm like, tell me about what you do. And I'm so amazed by their profession. I could write prescription, I could do everything the same as a doctor, but I'm not a doctor. That's it. I'm like, oh, wow. So there's things like this. It's only a 2-year program. Mm-hmm. After, college, or at one point in time, there's some colleges that, they have associate's degree with it. So you could actually do it from high school and just go straight into it. And they have the same privileges and everything. Mm-hmm. So I finally hired our first physician assistant. And in Illinois, we have laws that they have to, when the physician assistant works, the doctor has to be within 1 mile. Mm-hmm. And we have a lot of patients. We used to see 70 patients a day. Mm-hmm. And I remember the first time I had to get the physician assistant credential at the hospital, every doctor got upset. This is uncalled for.
Really?
This is not right. Yes.
Wow.
And my son's father, he was a big time doctor in the hospital. So now the doctors were like, oh, he has all the patients. Now they even were upset because now he has help. He has a physician assistant. So they had to change the hospital rules so they could let the physician assistant work in the hospital. And he was able to co-sign her note. And now if you go to the hospital, any hospital in Chicago, anywhere, physician assistant and nurse practitioners are pretty much the norm.
Wow.
Yes. And not too long ago, it was not the norm. So now even your primary care provider is probably a physician assistant or a nurse practitioner.
Wow, I guess they thought that was kind of encroaching on their territory.
Yes.
They didn't want to have that.
No. But now all of them have like 5 nurse practitioners.
Oh,
5
my God, right? That's all different now, right?
And I just look at sometimes the same doctors I have to cross paths. I'm like, oh, so how's that nurse practitioner doing?
Right. Yeah. How about that?
It's you know, it's a lot is the ways. It's a lot of doctors don't like change, and they're very rigid. They have rigid ways, and I can see that even with our students. But they have no concept outside of being a doctor, and they have no concept of holding a business. Some of them are very good business people, but majority of them are not. So I always try to teach our students to become good business people, and not only good business people, but also become community leaders as well. They always give back to the community, because your business and where you're at and how you have your nice things in life comes from the people that you take care of. And if you do a good job at taking care of them, you should always give back to the community, because we're in a Humboldt Park, we're in an underserved community, and that's what my son's father used to do. Like, sometimes people couldn't get into their appointments, and being a doctor, you have so many rules against you, and they have you can't be bribing patients. But if you're in an underserved area where your patients can't even come into their medical appointments, we used to give out free bus passes to make sure they could come to their medical appointments. We even did they have those Obama phones, and we used to call them, we used to call the companies, can you come to our office? Because one thing is, we were never able to contact our patients. We would have to just see them next month. Like, we have to wait. Like, if you have critical blood results and we cannot give it to you, and we will just have to wait because their phone is off, because they don't have enough money to turn their phone on. So we'll get them the free government phone so they have enough minutes, like 350 minutes a month. And we're like, don't use all those minutes. Those minutes are for us calling you.
Wow.
Yeah, but then you could use the minutes later on. So, I love the community that I'm in, and I love what my son's father has done. And he was the one that started the back to school programs, the turkey drives that he's always given out hundreds of turkeys every year, and that before he met me. And so I just continue to do that and make sure that I'm giving back to the community and keeping his legacy. And it's a wonderful feeling to know that when you're helping someone that has helped you, everybody helps each other, and no matter what, in some type of way, either it's financially or it's either through emotional or physical. And I always try to tell people that you can't be a doctor if there's no patient. And it doesn't matter what background they come from, they're still your patient, and you still live off of them too. So you have to treat them with at least nicely and with some type of dignity. So so my students do they come to every event that I'm at, and they have to give back. We did the kidney mobile last month, and they probably saw 300 people. We teamed up with Advocate Illinois Masonic, Weiss Memorial Hospital, and we do the Kidney Foundation mobile, and our students are the only ones that are the volunteers to work it, to make sure that the patients, checking their BMIs, checking all these different things. And then after that, we do the back to school programs. They help with the immunizations with the parents. They get a nurse practitioner from the hospital, and we pretty much just make sure that these kids are able to get a backpack and school supplies and go back to school. So we've been doing that for many years, and it starts with community, and it starts with the students. So if they're coming to my program, you have a lot of expectation, and you have to meet.
They have to get involved with a lot of things with the community. Yes. That's a great idea, though, because that shows them. Yeah. Yes,
it shows them hardship, and it shows them that they have to give back, and a lot of them love it. And if they don't love it, they're going to start to love it.
They're going to love it, so
they're going to love it. Yes. They have to. So our students have to complete at least twice a month some type of community service, and that's something that I have implemented in my own program. I've been doing this for the last 10 years, and I've been doing on my own for the last since 2014. And before we used to just do the kidney mobile. Now we have Dress for Success that's coming up October 3rd. They get to help with other women. They're probably going to be able to help coach them. You never know who they could influence. It just takes one person to change somebody's life. And we recently just had, we're going to have the back to school program backpack giveaway tomorrow, which they're going to do the immunization. So,
Great.
you know, a lot of doctors don't give shots, but our doctors do. They know how to draw blood and give shots. No, you never get a shot from a doctor. So, it's mostly a nurse.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. That's true.
You don't want to get one from a doctor.
That was better not to.
Yes, I think recently I went to the ER at Weiss Hospital, and I got a medication with some type of medication from one of the doctors that had a really bad infection, and so the doctor said I went to ER. I'm like, I know you guys have the solution for it. And so the doctor said, yeah, we have the solution for it. I'm like, but he's like, but the nurse is going to give it to you. He asked the nurse, can you give this to her? I'm like, you're not doing anything. He's like, oh, I forgot. Doctors don't give shots. And they're like, first of all, I'm like, I know it's an intermuscular shot. She has a better hand than I do. I'm like, of course.
So they need to delegate that one.
Yes. Oh man, I like we have medical assistants, and our medical assistants teach the students how to draw blood, and it's hilarious because this is something that they learn like maybe 3 days in. Nurses learn it 3 days in by the time they get into nursing school, but doctors don't know how to do it.
Wow,
that's interesting. And then they're like, oh, yes.
I'm like, wow, everybody else is doing everything. What's going on here?
Yes. Yes.
Oh my God, that's funny.
I'm like, you guys would be nowhere without a nurse. We all know this.
Yeah, that's so true though, because what you're saying is reminding me of this person that I knew who had gone to school at Rutgers. She had taken, I believe it was exercise physiology, but she'd wanted to go to nursing. And she had to be on a waiting list because she said a lot of the nurses don't, I guess because there's such a need, it's not like there's a lot of nurses to do the teaching.
Right.
So she had to wait for quite some time and, finally she got in. Of course, it took a little while for her to take classes and do all that. But once she graduated, I mean, she started out, she was I think an OR nurse, and it was so different because then, she was working a few hours a day because of a certain shift that she was on. And I'm sure she was making, a lot more money than she was kind of doing a lot of part-time work. So finally she got the reward for all the waiting and the studying over the years and working and doing everything. But it was something that I didn't even realize at the time, that there's a waiting list to get in. Really?
Yeah, there's something just don't make sense. You're like, why?
That's why, I'm glad you're sharing all this, because as I said, the average person, they wouldn't even understand this was all going on behind the scenes. You just assume, oh, well, you just go to school, you just do this, you don't know all the stuff that's happening and why people have now these other options that they can go into and be part of the medical profession, but it may not be what it was once before, where you had to be a doctor or a nurse or whatever, and that was it. Now you have options that you can be a part of. That's great, though.
Yeah, there's a lot of options. There's a lot of opportunity. It just sometimes it's for somebody to discuss about it. And I sometimes go to some high schools and I talk about it, and they get so fascinated. I'm like, it's 2019. I thought you guys should know about this right now. And they're like, no, we don't know about any of this.
No.
I'm like, I feel like high school curriculum should change. People, your last year of your senior year should be you trying out jobs that you think you might like.
Yeah, I would go along with that.
I know.
That's great.
Yes, like here's a list of jobs, and maybe you could try like 1 week of this. And other than that, you don't know what you want to do. And then you go to college, and college becomes so expensive.
Yeah.
And it's now a business that now you could just go to college anywhere, and you will most likely get accepted. Like if you want to go to the big colleges, you know that you're going to pay a lot more money. And I now look at how much college prices are. And I'm like, wow, $40,000 for in-state tuition college. Like, really? That's a lot of money.
Wow.
And that's a public college.
Yeah.
And like, my son is 7 years old. And I'm like, when he gets to college, how much money will the college be?
Right. But check going to keep going up. Where's it going? You know, it's like, come on.
Yes.
Yeah, it's nuts. It really is. And I think that if they gave people more options or taught them that there's more options and things they can try and things they can do, and maybe they would find some other thing they'd rather be doing. But we don't know that because you're not being told.
Right.
That's the thing. You know, there's other opportunities that are out here, particularly if we're talking about in medicine that, like I said, how many people really know this?
Correct. And like even when you're a type of doctor, I mean, when I said I wanted to be a doctor, you know what type of doctor I want to be? A neurologist.
Oh, really?
And I'm like, that's what I wanted to do.
Wow.
Then I met a neurologist because she takes our students, and she said, "This is the worst decision I ever made in my life." Because they have to do a fellowship after.
Wow.
Or some of them go directly into neurology. But some people became an internist, and then they did a fellowship in neurology, or they went backwards. And so. Wow. So they had to take another 3 to 4 more years.
Oh my
goodness. So that's a total of 12 years after college.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a major commitment.
Correct. And she's like, my student loans, I'm still paying student loans. I'm like, wow.
And that's another burden to consider. So all of this is going to make a difference in what people decide.
Correct.
Yeah, I agree. So I think that's great that you're sharing that because, like I said, I had no idea. No idea. I was like, so I'm glad you're sharing that. It's also your work with Bootstrap Village.
Yes, I do a little dabble in other philanthropic opportunities. So I'm the president of Bootstrap Village, where we are finding land in the city of Chicago to help end the homeless crisis. So we want to make sure that we are able to build tiny homes on these lands that is given to us by the city of Chicago, and put homeless people into those homes. And because we live in the city of Chicago, we have 4 seasons, and it's not. We're in the U.S. and I feel like, why is homelessness a problem here? And it shouldn't be a problem at all. And we should be able to reach out and there's a lot of unused land in the city of Chicago. So let's convert those dollar lots or those abandoned lots into homes for people that actually need them. And we could give them a second chance in life. And that's what a lot of people just need, it's a helping hand and a second chance.
That's true. And I think, you're speaking about Dress for Success, and that's something that, I volunteered for them a while back. And it's just, when you see they're just everyday people who have to have another start or whatever has happened, and they want to just live their lives and be independent. But now it's like, donate your time, or you can donate clothing or any kind of training or anything that can help. Then that helps someone to get back on their feet.
You never know what a lot of those people who are homeless too are also veterans. And a lot of people also have a lot of mental health issues. And a lot of people do not think, and this is why I also push our students to do psychiatry, because not only there's a huge demand, but as a doctor, if you're an internal medicine doctor or anything, you can't really help your patients until if you know they have a mental issue. So you really can't write a prescription for them, because there's the DEA. If you go write Xanax or some type of medication like that, you could get flagged. So people are able to write that. You have to stay within your profession, basically. Right. So that's why I try to tell our students, like, there's so many people with mental health issues that is being untreated, and a lot of people are crying for help. The reason why we do have a lot of violence, not just because of the huge drug epidemic, because a lot of the doctors, if you have a 7-month wait list and you went to your internal medicine doctor, he probably could cover you, but not for 7 months. Mm-hmm. So now you're on this waiting list for a psychiatrist, and you really need a medication. So you know what they're going to seek after? Illegal drugs on the street. Mm-hmm. And because they can't get it from their primary care. So we have a huge epidemic because of that. It's because our healthcare system is so clogged and so backed up that we're not able to treat the people who are less fortunate or who need the actual services right then and there. Mm-hmm. So they're not becoming a priority right now because, at all. Mm-hmm. And so I want to make sure that like our students are able to see the need. So when they work in underserved areas, they don't say like, oh, there's another person that's just seeking drugs. No, yes. Why are they seeking the drugs? There's probably something happened in their life. Mm-hmm. In our area, we have a lot of gang affiliates, a lot of people that probably sold drugs, but a lot of people that have other issues, domestic issues in their homes. Mm-hmm. So you don't understand the situation. So I always tell them, like, maybe they just need to see a psychiatrist. And then, after the clinical rotation, a lot of our students become very compassionate because they had to work in an underserved community. And they're like, you know what, Theresa, you're right, because this person was shot like 10 times. Mm. And for me, looking at that person, you wouldn't even know that they were shot. Or the person that's in that wheelchair, he's an elderly guy. He was in a gang very long ago, and he became disabled because he was shot on his spine, and that's made him disabled. And you will never know. Right. So some people look at it different and like saying that, oh, these people are just drug seekers. You don't know what they have gone through in their life that they sought after these drugs. Mm-hmm. To probably they're battling something, and they love the rotations that they're in with our hospital, especially Chicago, USC, anything and everything too. Mm-hmm.
So there's
victims.
Yeah, a lot of things. Well, that's the way to learn how to deal with life situations.
Correct. Yes, and so when they go off in pre-residency, and most likely they're going to go to a rural area, into a different atmosphere, they are prepared and they have seen it all. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the U.S. students have not seen it all because they're in probably, like I said, 3 hours, maybe a day, maybe once a week they went to a clinic, and maybe they're in the hospital, but only on rotation. They weren't touching the patient, sorry. Mm-hmm. But they don't want to touch the physician. but they actually, so our students in our hospital, they have hands-on experience where they have to, when they're in surgery, they're like a resident. They're treated like a resident. They have to open. They have to suture. They practice on oranges and pigs before the doctor lets them do their first, cutting of a patient. Mm-hmm. And I remember, like, I was just recently seeing my gynecologist, Dr. Boatwright, and she said that I love the students. They're better than my students at Rush because they're so afraid of cutting and they won't even cut. But the students over here, the first day they would try to cut, she's like, it's skin, so you got to cut deeper. And then she's like, so this guy student he's like, just a little bit. And she's like, you got to cut deeper. But she said that our students, but they get a little bit nervous. And then that's the first time, and think about it. If you had a doctor that never cut in their life, but they go to residency, they actually have they're actually a full doctor at that time. They can prescribe, they can do whatever. They have a license and everything. Mm-hmm. But they didn't do that in medical school. And another story I have is when one of our students actually saw a birth, and she said that the student was jumping up and down after the baby was delivered, that the parents even looked like you're more excited about the birth than they were. He had tears in his eyes. She said he was crying when he was delivered, like it was his own child.
Right? That's not what you expect. You think
yes.
Yes. Time.
I'm like, I hope you don't yell. And she's like, oh, I do this every day. I deliver like maybe 600 babies in 1 month. You're crying.
Oh my God.
She told me, she's like, I hope he doesn't cry for every birth. But it made the family so easy. I'm like, I think he might be an OBGYN.
He's going to cry more than everybody else.
Oh, wow. He's going to appreciate those baby pictures that comes into his office. You know how the doctors have the collage of all the babies and over the years? That would be him.
Oh, my God. That's kind of funny. Oh, my God. He's really good. Oh my God. Well, that just sounds fantastic. So, Theresa, could you please share where people can find out about you and more about what you're doing?
So people could find me online. My website is theresasiaw.com. It's TheresaSiaw.com. I'm also on Facebook with Theresa Siaw. I did a little bit of politics, so it might be a little political. I like to hear my rants. And I have my link, my LinkedIn's there, and my Instagram is the same as my last name, my first name and my last name. And for Bootstrap Village, we're always looking for donations to help the less fortunate. And you could always email us. You go on my website to their website to get in contact, or if anybody would like to donate anything. And we're just always making sure that we're able to help somebody, and through this process and this crazy world of life, cycle of life, so we can make sure that you never know who the next person and who the next person that we meet on the street will be a doctor too. Mm-hmm. And so I just want to make sure, because I'm sorry, I'm babbling, but I was running for alderman. One of the statistics that touched dearly in my heart for politics was that there's 18,000 homeless kids in the Chicago public school system. Mm-hmm. And I give out food every Thursday at a parking lot that I have in the Humboldt Park area to make sure that kids do not go hungry at night. So a lot of kids do not tell other people that they do not have food. They might be embarrassed. Mm-hmm. And it's something like I just have food sitting there, and we just make sure that around like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, every Thursday, the restaurant next door to me, they make the food, and we just sit there, and then the whole community, it's like we call it the community feeding. So it's people who have something they could come and eat, try new food. But my goal is to target younger kids, because a lot of kids do not have food, and sometimes the only meal that they eaten was at school. And mm-hmm. that's all. And if you see the Chicago school lunches or some school lunches, mm-hmm. I was even really heartbroken by public school used to have a good meal. I mean, or I maybe must have been a dream or La La Land. But they had one piece of bread, one slice of meat, a small mm-hmm. rotten apple, and uncooked broccoli for lunch. I'm like, that's lunch? And that broke my heart. And I called the restaurant, and I told the restaurant every day for summer, pay for the lunch every day cater the lunch for the school for mm-hmm. summer. Mm-hmm. And so people were able to come and get lunch at school for free. And and he went out his way. I'm like, well, you didn't have to make like a filet mignon. Oh, wow. I'm like, okay, this is a whole full. I'm like, you're making me look good. Make me look good too much, Roberta, over here. I even went to the meal lunch. I was like, Humboldt Park is predominantly Puerto Rican, so mm-hmm. it has become so diverse over the years since I've been in Humboldt Park, mm-hmm. and they made Puerto Rican food. So now it's like black and white people and Asian people there. Now they're very Puerto Rican. They're just eating a lot of Puerto Rican food over the summer. So, that
was good.
Yes. I gained like 40 pounds in like 3 months for eating a lot of Puerto Rican food. So every Thursday he cooks up like some type of Puerto Rican dish, and it's not just a small dish. Like these kids are going home, and people are going home with, sometimes a whole pork chop and rice. And I'm like, it's not just a small pork chop. It looks like a tomahawk. I'm like, what kind of pork chop? I'm like, I hope this is good.
Everybody's getting his meal.
Yes, it'll be hundreds of people, and he's just, we're cooking up the pork chop. And so that's what we had to do in the evening, because Roberto goes out of the way to cook up these elaborate meals.
Oh my God.
For the people in the community. And I'm like, I wonder how much this bill is gonna be. He's like, no, don't worry about it, Theresa. But, he has made a name for himself in the community because it has actually brought a lot of business. So a lot of people have been hearing about it when they come to the restaurant to support. I mean, it's a little hole in the wall, but it's our community hole in the wall. That's another restaurant, because you know how much something to be catered for 100 people is? You're talking about $10 a person minimum. Yeah. And he really does it. We do it every Thursday at our parking lot. He grills. He'll make fried chicken. He'll make grilled chicken. If somebody has an allergy, he'll go make a different type of food for them.
That is wonderful.
Yes. So yeah. So you could check it out and donate to Bootstraps, because we're always doing something in community, and we're trying to find people homes and get them off the street before winter this year.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Especially we had that polar vortex.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I got locked out of my house that day.
Really?
Yes. I locked my keys in the house, and I waited for 20 minutes outside. It was so cold. I thought I was about to have frostbite. I'm calling my friends, and they're like, it's so cold outside. Like, how do you do? And then after I got my keys out, I locked myself out of the house the second time.
Now, there's no reason for that.
No. And then the guy who he had to break open my door.
Oh, my God.
And my neighbors are probably looking at me like, this girl is crazy. My neighbor did say that to me. They're like, get what? So now my house has a keypad that you have to press the keypad.
Oh, well, that sounds
never do it again.
Wow. Yeah, that wasn't the kind of weather you wanted to be outdoors now.
No.
No. I saw that on the news and whatever. So we didn't have quite like that. But I know that, from what I'm seeing, the weather there doesn't play. So that's not
no.
Not to be outdoors. Wow. But that sounds so fantastic, because when people have meals and they have a roof over their heads, that makes so much difference to someone's life experience, and not worried and stressed or being threatened, and just having that sense that you have food in your stomach, and then you can have the energy to go and do the things you have to do. And all that is so important, and I think that's just great work, and the food sounds delicious. So,
yes. I can't wait. I'm like always ready for Thursday. I'm like,
it sounds good. Oh yeah, that sounds delicious and sounds wonderful. That is, you were able to get that going and have people who really want to help that effort, because that's fantastic. So, but Theresa, we could just talk about this for the next couple of hours, because you're involved in so many wonderful things, and it's just such a great conversation. But you just want to know, do you have any final thoughts before we wrap up?
No, I just want everybody to take away that it just takes one person to change somebody's life, and we always should be that one person. You never know who you'll meet and who you will change their life. So just be kind to every single person you meet.
That's perfect. So I want to thank you for joining me. This has just been wonderful. I learned a lot. I'm sure other people will too. Listen to this, and who will be listening. I thank you so much for the work you're doing, and just thanks again for being on the program.
Thank you for having me.
So everyone, I know you enjoyed it. Certainly, I know I've been enjoying our conversation. So please make sure you share this on social media and with your friends, and check out what Theresa's doing and see how you can support that, and maybe get some ideas for things you can do in your own community. So once again, it's been Women Entrepreneurs Radio with your host Deborah Bailey. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you again next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us. You can also join in the conversation on Facebook.com/Women Entrepreneurs and on the website WomenEntrepreneurSecrets.com. And don't forget to listen in on dbcoach.podomatic.com and on iTunes.